Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 191.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are, here, that you're listening, that you are caring, that you are working and doing whatever it takes to build your cash flow. Our goal, as you always know, is to help you with the guests, the information, the tools, the techniques, the tips, whatever it's going to take to get you to that next level. Some might say you might even want to grab life big, and I think today's guest would absolutely agree with that particular statement. Because, one of the best things you could ever do as you're out there is you never want to be the person who knows the most, earns the most, is the most in your immediate network. And sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to find those individuals who have the ability to help you get to that next level. Today's guest is Rock Thomas. He is associated with the group known as GoBundance, and you are going to find out all about them today. But let's talk and brag about Rock for just a second. Many of you would love to have a business. Many of you would love to have a business that has sales. Many of you would love to have a business that not only has sales, but the sales would increase year over year. And if that happened once, you would be excited. What if you did it for 17 years? 17 years. That's called focus. That's called the correct mindset. That's called discipline. That's called Rock Thomas. I know we're going to have a lot to learn today. Help me welcome Rock. Rock, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Jay, and I'll tell you what, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm excited actually to hear myself after you say that.
Well, you gotta admit, 17 years of consecutive growth is kind of something to brag about, if I may say so myself, because that would be awesome. I know I get excited with quarter over quarter growth, like we've been experiencing, but the idea of doing it for 17 years sounds wow. It's like, wow.
Well, thank you. And, when you're doing it, you don't really realize you're doing it. But as you rack up the years, you start to get pretty excited about it. And I have to give a lot of credit to my mentors and being in mastermind groups and being coached by some of the best in the world that caused me to not let my personal life get in the way. And I think that's what stops most people after studying salespeople year after year and monitoring their sales. I noticed that it's never the competition, it's never the economy, it's nothing like that. What it comes down to is people's ability to manage their own state of mind, their own attitude that causes them to fall off and not be able to perform that. So I had some great coaches like Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra that kept me on track.
Indeed. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. One of the things that I like to do is I like to ask everybody some of the same questions. One of those is the following. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, the Flash, I don't know, whoever you like. However, and I do that because simply superheroes and entrepreneurs kind of do the same thing. Superheroes occasionally, or entrepreneurs occasionally get dressed up. They occasionally put on a cape, or at least think they have on a cape, wear masks, etc., to go around saving people using their special talents and skills. And entrepreneurs do the same thing, right? Superheroes and entrepreneurs are alike in that way. They're also alike in that before Spidey was, climbing walls, and before Batman was, the Dark Knight and all these other things, they were normal people. They had an origin story. So before you were working with GoBundance, before you were out there literally helping create millionaires and multimillionaires and bringing those networks together before the 17 years of sales success and growth. Who's Rock Thomas?
Well, it's a great question. And I think that I grew up on a farm and I learned how to work hard. So that's one of the kind of pillars of success is the ability to focus, like you said before. So definitely I had that. I'm an early riser. I get a lot done before most people probably get out of bed. I used to say to people is, tell me what you do before 8 o'clock in the morning and after 8 o'clock at night, and I can predict your financial future for the rest of your life. And the reason I say that is after studying so many successful people, I noticed there was rituals. And I fortunately grew up on a farm and got some of those rituals early, which is to start and to have a morning routine that is for yourself and puts you in a good place. So I got that growing up on a farm. I learned how to work hard. We had no TV, so I used to go down and stroll down to the library and read books off the shelf. And I remember reading one that my father had. I think it was Howard Vernon, wrote it from Boulder City, Colorado. And one of the phrases that always is in my mind is, do what you fear and it will disappear. And it's caused me to take massive action. I mean, massive action. It's almost dangerous because if somebody says to you, I bet you can't do that, you could be pretty sure if it created a little fear in me that I was going to take action because I've hardwired myself that way. And, you know, Jay, I see so many people prepare to get ready. And I think that that's one of the cornerstones of a problem in our society is people are just so certainty driven. So I was a guy that took a lot of action. That being said, I failed a lot. I bankrupted restaurants. I had my pilot's license before I had my driver's license. I owned a plane at the age of 16. But I guess what's really worked for me, Jay, is I give 100% to whatever I do. A lot of people are searching for purpose in their life. And my suggestion to them is this, is just wherever you are, build the habit of doing whatever you're doing 100%. Whether I was cleaning toilets or cutting grass or painting barns or working at McDonald's, I always gave it more than was expected, came in early, stayed late, and gave it more. And the opportunities just came at me. People offered me jobs, offered me partnerships, offered me ownership, offered me all kinds of things because it's a rare quality. So I'd say that's who I was just a hardworking kid, definitely not the smartest kid in the room, but I'm an amazing student. And I wouldn't say that I was an amazing student, but today I'm very curious and I pay attention to what's going on around me, always looking, what can I learn from that? And I don't believe in winning and losing. I believe in winning and learning. And therefore, every day is a good day for me because I never lose.
Indeed. I like that a lot. Now, there's a couple of things that you said in there that I definitely want to make sure that everyone not only heard, but that we talk about a little bit deeper. And for those of you listening, if you didn't write down, do what you fear and it will disappear. I'm repeating it for you because you should write that down. Absolutely. Now, Rock, I got a question because I get the question a lot. You know, people ask me, Jay, what do you do? What do you do? How do you manage to keep pushing forward and all the stuff that has happened over your life and whatnot? But you said something I've not heard before. A lot of people have asked about, you know, what do you do before 8 a.m.? Okay, great. But you said something about after 8 p.m. And I really want to know a little bit more about what you've seen people who have generated success do after 8 p.m.
Yeah, well, like a lot of goal setting, I ask people, what do you want in life? And most people don't know because they don't think about it. So then I ask them, what don't you want? And they got a long list. I don't want to work for a stupid boss. I don't want to drive in traffic. I don't want to have to pay taxes, right? So they're really quick on what they don't want, and what you focus on expands so you get more of that. So the easy thing is, what shouldn't you be doing after 8 o'clock? Well, you shouldn't be having somebody else imprint on your mind the information that they choose, whether it be by newspaper or by TV or radio, something that randomly is being fed your unconscious mind. So I consciously feed my mind. I journal before I go to bed. I ask myself, what am I grateful for? What did I contribute? And what did I learn? And what I found is that when you do that, every night and you journal that, the next day your brain is searching for those inventories to file away the following night. So you're walking along and you want to be able to write down that you contributed holding the door open for somebody. Well, you walk through that door and all of a sudden your brain activates you that way. You want to write down that you made the extra call, that you did your 100 push-ups, that you worked out 10 minutes longer or harder than you planned, and that's a success. You pushed yourself. So the practice of journaling is definitely one of them. I would write down in my journal the answer to the 3 questions is, what am I grateful for? What did I accomplish? And what did I contribute? So by doing so, I focus my mind on things that I want to create the following day. As an example, if I'm walking along and I want to jot something that I'm accomplished, I might tend to hold a door open for somebody, or I might make that extra call or work out a little bit harder just because I want to be able to jot that down at the end of the day. So it actually prepares you for the next day. A lot of people will watch the news before they go to bed, in my opinion, filling their mind with things that don't serve them. And I wrote my book in the early morning and at nighttime. So I'd have a day job, a day business, and I would create something for the future before and after, when most people I wasn't doing business with were doing something else, like relaxing.
Right. Well, you just said something that I want people to hear again, because many times when we make that transition from employee, self-employed to business owner, and what you just said right there is that's pretty much where I'm living right there, is during the working day, quote unquote, we've got certain activities that we must execute for the business. But after the working day, that doesn't mean that you just go and do nothing. You said you were working on something for the future. Could you expound a little bit more on that? Because that, I think, is killer.
I think it comes down to obsession. When you love what you do, whether you be a sport, an athlete, or, I grew up a lot in the Tony Robbins world. I'm a trainer for Tony Robbins, 15 years with him. Tony goes 12, 14, 15 hours a day. I learned that the body actually can do way more than people think. We've all heard people get to the end of the day and say, what? Oh, I'm so tired.
Right.
But the truth is, you have so much more. People that have been in the military know this. People that have been parts of organizations like GoBundance, a tribe of people that will call on you to do more. They know that there's way more in our bodies and minds and souls than we give ourselves credit for. The problem is, a body that is not in motion will tend to not stay in motion. So you sit on the couch and you just fade away. So I always became excited about the evening. I always looked at that. This is what I was going to create in the future. So it was more my creation time. It was more the new business I was working on. I have probably 12 different companies right now. I'm the CEO of several of them. And people ask me, how do you achieve all that? When you love what you do and you follow some of the principles of success, you can create so much. And actually, I'm not even interested in TV. Like if it's on or there, I go to a hotel room and I won't even turn it on.
Yeah,
So much I want to do, Jay. I'm so excited about what am I going to read, what I'm going to learn, or I'm on a podcast, or I'm connecting with somebody. So that I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. In fact, it also brought up something I thought was pretty funny. I was traveling one time with one of my investors, and we were in a hotel, and I like you, I rarely, if ever, even touch the television. And we were checking out, and we hadn't actually touched the television at all, because that's normal for me. But he wanted to stop and turn on the television specifically because he said, well, I paid for the use of it because I paid for the room, but I just wanted to turn it on, and then he turned it back off. I thought that was the most hilarious thing on the planet. Now, there's a lot that you are sharing in a very compact amount of time, which just tells me that you have a lot to contribute, which I absolutely appreciate. But I've got a question for you, because I do this practice of journaling, have done it for quite some time. In fact, a number of our members, what they get to, I actually publish my journal for the members so that they can see what's going on at the same time. And the question I have for you is, you mentioned journaling in the evening. I tend to do it in the morning. Have you ever tried it in the morning? Is there a different benefit to doing it in the evening versus the morning that you were aware of?
Yeah, I'll do both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the journaling in the morning might be more about vision, about goal setting,
Got it.
and the journaling in the evening is more about capturing the day
Yep.
and really squeezing the essence out, because we get so busy in our world, sometimes we forget those magic moments. And I want to remember when I held that door open, or when I mentioned that girl's name when I was picking up a coffee at Starbucks and put a smile on her face. And so I can recall to do it again. I'm trying to build a new habit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Now I get you. Because, see, in the morning I tend to do the written version, and then in the afternoon I'll take a short video of myself, and that becomes the diary entry, is the video for the afternoon. So
Well,
I understand. Now I understand what you meant.
I like that.
It works for me. That I can write in the morning. My brain is ready for that, but trying to do that in the evening, it's just not the same for me. But I need that physical release and activity, because I can do it while walking and talking, and it just works very well. Now,
Well, if I was as good looking as you, I'd videotape myself too.
You've got the right haircut, and that's the only thing that matters, and that's awesome. That's awesome. So here's a question though.
Yeah.
You grew up on a farm. You learned a lot of the great things, the focus, the work ethic, the et cetera. In fact, I've often tell people that my superpower is to be able to focus like nobody's business. I know how to focus. However, just because the superhero realizes that they have a gift, that doesn't mean that they're going to choose to share it with anyone. And what I would love to know is that superhero moment is what I tend to call it. It's that moment where you realize that you've got something to share. It's just like Peter Parker. He's like, oh my gosh, I have this new gift. I can go do something with it. And he chooses to do something with it. You've chosen to do something with it. And what I would love to know is why and how did you develop that courage, and why did you choose to do what you do with your gift?
Well, pain creates passion, in my opinion. And growing up,
that again.
yeah. So I think you either choose to go one of two ways when an event happens in your life, Jay. So you get beaten up at school and you become, the scientist nerd, or you get beaten up at school and you say, screw that, and you become, the running back of the football team. It just depends on how you internalize it. And I had an experience at 14 where I was beaten up by my brother and almost died. And I decided that I would become a millionaire. I don't know why. It's just a switch that happened. And ever since then, I became entrepreneurial. Everything, I had a lawn cutting business and all my friends worked for me. And I was the one that, knocked on doors and got the contracts. I understood the power of leverage at a very young age. And I watched people suffer. I would say I watched people struggle. I watched people live in fear. I watched people live to be comfortable. But I really believe when you try to live to be comfortable, God has a way of saying, you know what, that's not the purpose of life. So I'm going to make something happen in your life that will be uncomfortable to force you to grow. So I just try to choose my growth patterns to the best of my ability. And it doesn't always work, but at least I choose some of them rather than the universe choosing all of them for me.
I kind of like that idea. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where it's going to come from. You just know that it's coming at some point, and you've got to be able to work through all those things. I like the idea of kind of controlling and directing the ship a little bit. So I think that's just awesome, because it's one thing to be a victim. It's another to be at cause and to have some of the control. So how did you tell us about the journey from, there where we are right now, just lawn cutting business. Today we're at, you said 12 companies, various levels of involvement with all 12. There's got to be a lot of lessons between, the lawn business and today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I started as a realtor in 1990, before that, I drove a taxi in Australia for 7 months. I traveled through Southeast Asia with a backpack and taught English to Japanese people in Thailand, did some modeling, acted in a movie.
Of course you did. You got the right haircut. No,
That's right. That's right. and did a little bit of extra acting in movies with Patrick Dempsey in one of them actually. And basically, it's all about grabbing life big for me. It's about seizing the moment. It's about saying yes. I say to people in my seminars, say yes, say yes, say yes, and high five the person beside you and say, figure it out later. And it's all about, going for it. I once wanted to act in this movie, and I dropped in on the set, and they scared me off of the set. They said, get away. And I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. And they said, no, it's a private set, get away. And I came back the next morning, and they kicked me off the set. And I came back the next morning, they kicked me off the set. And I came back the next morning, and they saw me again, and they're like, we told you there's no jobs. I said, one day somebody's not going to show up. Somebody's going to come be sick, and I'm going to be here. You see. 6th day, 7th day. I have to admit, on the 7th day, my unconscious mind was going like, okay, I'm wasting my time. This isn't working. You should be doing something else. And then I focused again on, I want to be in the movies. I want to meet some beautiful women. I want to meet some celebrities. I want that life. And I stopped for a coffee because I was trying to avoid the pain of wasting my time, rejection and all that. And I pulled up 20 minutes late, and the guy's waving at me. And he goes, and it was Tim, this big guy, and he goes, Rock, come on, you're late. John didn't show up. And I started off as a gopher, just parking cars. I got a little bit piece, as an extra. And then eventually I was a stand-in for one of the actors. And I ended up dating a girl on the set and getting a job as an assistant director on another set. And what I learned from that, Jay, was that life rewards people who take massive action. Just keep on showing up. Just keep on saying yes. Just keep on being rejected. Just keep on forging forward. Keep your eye on the prize. It's not how hard you hit. It's how hard can you be hit and still get up. And I pride myself on that. Say to the universe, is that all you got? Is that all you got? Come on. And it's about just, man, that passion. So when I see people staying safe in their corner, there's an quenchable thirst in me is to inspire them, is to remind them of the greatness that is within them, that there's so much more, and this life is so precious. It's a gift we've been given. Don't squander it. Don't waste it trying to be safe. So where does it come from? It comes from my desire to live life fully and to inspire others to do the same.
Indeed. And it seems, I guess for me, it seems like such a waste to not try, at some point. You don't know, you haven't found out. You think you have an idea that it might not work or it might not go well, but you don't really know. And it could be the very door you needed to walk through. I applaud your honesty about how you were even doubting yourself and letting, there's those moments where we can allow our subconscious mind to slow us down, but it doesn't mean it has to stop us. And one of the most important things I think you've said thus far is to keep showing up. And showing up is defined differently depending on, what your roles are. Sometimes showing up for those of you that are fathers is just simply being there for your kids, for 15 minutes a day. That could be enough, and that could be your version of showing up and being able to develop this belief. So, but Rock, you got to level with me. In order to do that, there's got to be, I believe, a fundamental belief that things like patience, delayed gratification, and discipline are of some value. And the challenge is we're not trained to see or recognize that. So I'm going to say you had an advantage by growing up on a farm where delayed gratification is kind of the name of the game. There are many, many, many skill sets that you are going to acquire, master, and develop various different levels of proficiency on your quest to build your business. I don't care if all you want to do is get 5 single-family houses, 1 single-family house in your rental portfolio, or if you want to take over your own little city or fiefdom, whatever you might call it. You got a lot to learn. We all do. We're all learning here at the Cashflow Diary. And that's one of the greatest things about being able to be mentored by so many different entrepreneurs. That's exactly what each one of us get every time we do an episode, is a little bit of mentorship with each and every one of these wonderful entrepreneurs. And you are hearing from one of the best, as you have probably no doubt already figured out. Here's the cool thing. Another way for you guys to get some more information is just send a text message to 72,000. That's 72000. Again, that's 72000. The keyword is book, BOOK. And I will send you an electronic copy of the book Cashflow Diary, 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy. If you've ever wondered how to build the business, how to start it from scratch, what to do to make it happen, now you have a shot at getting that formula, if you will, and understanding the insides of what it's going to take to make it happen. Again, send a text message to 72,000. The keyword is book. For those of you outside the US, it's cashflowdiary.com/free book. Take you to the same spot. Now, I know one thing. The most valuable thing that you guys have right now is your time and attention. And I want to get you back to the mentor, the message, the man, the one who can help you with more things than you could possibly think about. Let's get back to Rock Thomas.
You know, I'm going to applaud you now, because what you just said there is one of the cornerstones to success for people. And I think most people don't get it, is the delayed gratification. We live in a society, man, when your Windows doesn't upload quick enough. I have 3 screens on my desk because I don't want to waste 2 seconds waiting for something to upload because I'm in production mode. But I really think when people decide that their life is going to have a purpose, then they're going to seek out the principles of success. 2 years ago, I met somebody who was a quantum leap ahead of me in far as their business success and their mindset. And I kind of hooked my wagon to them. And 2 years later, we created a mastermind group, or 2 years later, we now have a mastermind group of over 100 multimillionaires. We hang out, we play together, we mastermind together, we take care of our health, we do adventures. There's a bunch of them on an event right now. We do 4, 5, 6 different events throughout the year. And we bring in great speakers. We had Robert Kiyosaki. We have one of the Shark Tank speakers coming to our next event in Tahoe. And really, I learned that you rise and fall to the level of the peers that you hang out with. And if somebody around you has self-discipline to get up and meditate in the morning, do yoga, work out, and then get to their life, and you hang around with that person and they talk about that, there's a much greater opportunity for you to do the same thing. So I learned to surround myself with people who are champions. I managed to improve my golf game dramatically by hiring Tiger Woods' ex-coach, Butch Harmon. I gave $65,000 to Tony Robbins to coach me personally. And like I said before, I'm a great student, so I pay attention to the nuances and the little things. Delayed gratification is one of them, but creating a compelling future is the other. You have to be able to look forward and be excited about your future. It's like the day before you go on vacation, is you're fired up and you're so productive. That's how I live my life. Every day is like tomorrow I'm going on vacation, and I am super productive. And I'm passionate about giving these tools to other people. And that's why we came up with this M1 program, where if you're hungry to I say to people, I'm the Google of personal development. I've figured out, what to surf through. Because let's face it, if it was just information, Jay, everybody could go to Google.
Right.
They could get all the thoughts and strategies of successful people. Just go in there and Google the 10 habits of successful people. You can do that. But it's about the execution of it. And the execution is sustainable when you surround yourself with other people that are marching to the same beat. It's like when you're on a football team, you're probably in the best shape of your life during that spring training, et cetera, because you have other people you don't want to let down. And that's one of the cornerstones, is be around other people that won't let you drop your standard. They will call you out. That's what we do. We call each other out. When you set a goal and you don't achieve it, you get called out. And that takes courage and respect to the relationship. It's too easy to let people, oh, don't worry, yeah, you have a beer, go ahead, man. You can work out tomorrow, buddy. Yeah, you call them tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Good job. You know what? Good is the enemy of great, and we're all about great.
Indeed. I get excited for this stuff because This is the concept of eustress is something that we talk about in the community a lot, as opposed to distress. We're all distressed. It's the opposite. It's opposite eustress, the what commonly known as peer pressure. When you're surrounded by those who are achieving and striving and know you should be too, it feels weird at some point to not be along. I mean, just to fit in, you know what you're going to do? You're going to make the call because you know your buddy Rock is going to ask you, so how'd that call go? And you'll go out there and make that extra call. You'll lift that, you'll do that extra repetition. You'll put down the lemon bar. Sorry to anyone eating a lemon bar right now. And you'll do those extra things. Now, there's something that you mentioned that I definitely would love to hear. You mentioned, pillars of success, the top 10 types of things that you can search on Google. So let's Google Rock for a moment and find out what you would consider to be the top 10 rules for success.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I have a book coming out this year called Your Success Blueprint, and it is my top 10 habits. And number one is 30 minutes a day of personal development. Nice, so you want to bathe your mind in that, just the same way you'd work out or you do something, pray, whatever you do, is you've got to feed your mind and inspire it because we live in a negative world. So that's going to happen naturally. Gravity happens naturally. You've got to fight against it. Some of the other ones that I like a lot are nothing has meaning but the meaning you give it.
Yes.
And you arrive in a situation, is the fact that your girlfriend dumped you, is that good or bad? Or the fact that you had a fender bender, good or bad? Or the fact that the deal didn't go through, good or bad? It doesn't matter. You attach the meaning to it. And I've learned that from my mentors. And people say, well, how come you're always so excited, Rock, and you're so up, and didn't you have a bad day? I had a deal last year go south for $1.6 million. Somebody I loaned $2.5 million to, that found a clever way to go through bankruptcy court and basically make the shares worth nothing. Long story short, we settled out of court for $800,000 plus some assets, and I'm excited about that. 1.6 million down in my net worth, and I'm excited because I know the universe is preparing me for greater things, is giving me an opportunity to learn, giving me an opportunity. It's like I went to the gym and I had 4 badass trainers work me out for 2 months while we went to court there and tested me on my resolve, my attitude. How would I show up for my family while I was going through that? And I came out a better person, and I'm grateful for my opponents. Not that I want to attract more of them that way, but when they do show up, I'm prepared for it and I'm looking for the lesson. And today I run a business 8 months after that happened in competition with them, and we're about to surpass them. So everything in life is an opportunity. Everything in life is an asset. Show up with the attitude of where's the lesson and attach an empowering meaning to it, and your life will be spectacular.
You bring up one of those subjects that most people don't like to talk about. And I've shared before how I've had to go through what at the time felt like the pain of embezzlement and someone getting away with it. And we weren't at 1.6. We're about half that. It was around $800,000. It made us better, et cetera, et cetera. But one of those things is those enemies. I've often said, or it's definitely been taught to me, that if there was no Goliath, there was no King David. We need those testings to find out, where those weaknesses lie. And you may even heard it said that the angry customer is some of the best source of information because they are not sugarcoating it in any way, shape, or form. And they become the greatest source of opportunity that your business sometimes absolutely needs.
I agree with that. I think it's, again, everything's an asset, right? So an angry customer is just an opportunity for you to get some feedback on how you can make your business better.
Oh, yeah. And it's direct. Direct.
Unedited.
Absolutely. And offered freely. You don't even have to pay for it. No focus group. I mean, dude, you are ahead of the game. So that, that's how I look at it, because we get the emails and we just make the improvements. And that's really what it comes down to. So I guess the thing that I would love to hear, because you've mentioned it before, we've danced around the subject, And if I'm not mistaken, the guys are currently in Denver somewhere. Is that what you meant?
That's right.
That was the okay, yeah. So I've heard of the group Go Abundance, but there could be a few people who haven't and don't really know what you guys are, what the tribe is about, and would love for you, if you would, to share, a little bit about who you guys are, what you're doing, and why you believe it's important.
I was always searching for people that I could be pushed by to grow myself. And I found that in my local environment, it was hard for a couple of reasons. Sometimes you're with competitors, you don't want to give away your secrets, but other times people kind of know you for who you are. And the reality is, it's thin at the top. So, our group is a bunch of hard charging entrepreneurs. We're healthy, wealthy, generous men that choose to lead epic lives. We don't apologize for being awesome. And we want to live an authentic life where we grab life big. So we do it through 5 pillars. One is creating horizontal income, or most people would know as passive income, so that your money's working for you. Number 2 is age-defying health. There's too many temptations for people to solve their problems, immediate gratification with Tylenol, and then it just spirals down from there. There's alternative ways to stay healthy and be energized. Number 3 is extreme accountability. Is where we hold each other accountable. We have an elaborate goal-setting method that increases people's results immediately with one simple thing that anybody can do once a week and takes only about 2 minutes and is proven, documented to increase their goal achievements by 30%. Number 4 is bucket list adventures. I mean, Jay, how cool is it? You get together with a bunch of your buddies and you go, what would you like to do in the world? Well, let's go kayaking in Norway in the fjords. Okay, let's do it. Then you put it on the calendar and 11 of you head out and you do that for 10 days and you climb, the highest mountain in Northern Europe. You climb glaciers. You play ultimate frisbee down at the foothills of a fjord. You eat food. You hang out with people that live to 100 years old and you just do cool stuff. So we do all kinds of stuff like that. We're going to Machu Picchu in September to climb the Inca Trail. And we bring in really cool people to teach us. And finally, we have contributions, so we give back twice a year to those that are financially challenged, and we share with them our experiences and skill sets around success. But most recently, because many of us are multimillionaires and we've attracted that group, and we're always looking for more hard-charging entrepreneurs that would like to be part of that. So if anybody is listening, is interested in that sort of thing, you feel like the tall poppy in your town, you can go to Go Abundance, GoAbundance, not GoAbundance.com, and check us out, fill out a form. But we have a new segment that we've started, which is our guys that have made it, they want to give back. Once you get to a certain place where you've made it, the tendency is you want to contribute and share your wisdom. So we do mentoring of people who are up and coming for their first million. We call it a March to a Million. It's a cool little mentorship program. And so we're looking for young talent that want to come up and would like to actually be mentored by street smart millionaires. Not a theory, not a book, but people who have done it. So every month, check it out, every month you have a conversation with a different millionaire or multimillionaire, and you get to pick their brain and be on a call and find out how they did it. And from that, you can pull and figure out how you might be able to do it.
And just so everyone knows, if you've already passed the $1 million mark, they have something for you too. Because that was one of the first questions I asked when he said that last time. I was like, what if you're beyond that? Because I know one of the things that I tend to struggle with is finding someone who's, as you said, tall poppy. I'm 6'4". I'm tall in almost any room. And it's like, who has done more that I can hang around? And that's one of the most important things that you can continue to do, is to seek those particular individuals. What are some of the, what would you say are some of the, if you would, just brag on some of the group for a second, and what are some of the accomplishments that, names are not necessary unless you want to, it's just give us an idea of some of the things that they've been able to do from a business or success standpoint so that we can get a clearer idea of whom we might be associating with.
Yeah, great point. We have multiple authors in our organization and speakers. We had one guy who just shared the stage with George Bush and Tony Robbins. an amazing gentleman, best-selling author, Michael Mayer. We have Ricky Williams, Heisman Trophy winner, who's a member of our tribe. We have many people that are champions that have an excess of net worth of 15 million. And we have a special group that does retreats just for that organization, because their conversation is different than a guy who's $2 million net worth is a different conversation than the guy that's an $80 million net worth. We have a gentleman who's averaging 75% return on the stock market. He's got a mutual fund that he runs for the last several years. Traded over $18 billion of stocks, number one Dale Carnegie trainer in North America. I mean, we just attract guys who are really, really great. We have a few other guys that are amazing athletes. So you're definitely going to be somebody who wants to get in better shape or who is in good shape. We've had guys that have joined us actually that have been 300 pounds and within the first 3 months lost 40 pounds because of the peer pressure, the positive peer pressure.
Yes, exactly. Love it, love it, love it. Now, for those who at this point they've heard, they get it. How do they take that next step? You know, what would you like us to do? I mean, if I'm listening to you and I'm one of those hard charging entrepreneurs, or I think I'm hard charging, because that's probably a key distinction, is we may think we're hard charging and find out that we might not be as hard charging as we'd like to be. But if I am that person, if I have self-identified and said, you know what, that's the group I need to be in or around, what's my next step after listening to this?
Yeah, you just go to www.gobundance.com, and there's a little application you can fill out there or send us an email, or you can go to rock@rockthomas.com and send me a personal email. And I'm the CVO, the Chief Visionary Officer of GoBundance. And we choose visionary because, you know, it's all about having a vision for the future of what we want to create. And our goal is to attract, you know, if you're sitting there or you're listening to this and you've been called crazy, out of the box, you're intense, you're focused, it's probably you need to reach out to our group, because the type of people I speak to, and I have the pleasure of speaking to most people, is they're like, you know what, I'm just a little bit of an oddball. I'm a little bit out there, and I'm looking for a group of people that get me. And that's what we're about, is we're a little bit oddballs in the sense of we're anti-institutional. We create our own way, and the entrepreneur solves a problem, but we solve problems generally by being a little bit creative. And we finally get together and we can go, oh man, there's a bunch of other dudes that are as crazy and work 16 hours a day and then take three weeks off and go to Europe with my family. You do cool stuff and you have a great time. So those are the type of people we're looking at. And you know what, to use your metaphor, is we also ask people to come with one Superman quality. Something you believe that you'll bring to the group. We don't just want people coming and thinking you're going to get educated. It's about coming and adding value. And we believe everybody has some Superman quality somewhere. Maybe they're super disciplined. Maybe they're great. We have one guy who started the meditation. We have, another person who does yoga. So you might have one thing you can bring to the tribe that makes us a better tribe. And we will be looking for that characteristic. It's not about stroking a check. It's about coming in, adding value, being part of a tribe that wants to make the world an epic place to be, and then being called and pushed, like in the Marines, to find your best self.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I guess as we wind down here, a final question, if you will. Let's pretend for a second that there's someone out there who is... they're standing in front of the superhero outfit store right now. They think, I want to be one of those entrepreneur people. I want to pick out my outfit, get my mask. They're deciding, should I have a cape or not? But yet in the back of their mind, that subconscious, that voice is still chiming in and saying to them, are you sure it's going to work? I don't know. You got to pay the bills next month. You've never done this before. All of those things that can happen to someone to sabotage their potential. What would you say to that person right now?
Happens to everybody. I run an organization with over 100 multimillionaires, and none of them lack fear. The only difference is that they access courage. They say yes and they figure it out later. Start saying yes to your life, to your dreams, to your potential, because every single person has massive raw potential. They just rarely give themselves a chance to be tested. Just say yes.
Awesome. Well, from me to you, I definitely appreciate the opportunity to pick your brain, to talk to you, and most importantly, the investment that you have made here with your time. I am certain will pay a huge dividends for the many that have listened today. Thank you for taking your time to invest here with us at the Cashflow Diary.
It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It is time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean today? That means go abundance.com. That's what it means. It means get over there, fill out the application, get started. You know you're on that path to beginning to get that first million. And those of you that are past that, you do the same thing because there's still more to be had. And you know that feeling that I mentioned, going, who else can show me? Who else can teach me? You've been searching. Now you've found. It's up to you to take the next step. Guys, gals, it's been fun talking to you today. I do look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.